Hey guys, this is Dardamos with Dardamos Dominions, and I'm here with Balin Stalin, and we're gonna bring you a new game where we will be. We're casting it, correct?
Yeah, we're casting an MA game with the Omniscience mod on uh fuck.
Yeah, and I put together a customized mod that will, or sorry, a customized map that will start us off on Pelawar on a little island and make it so that we can see pretty much the entire map the entire time. So the age that we're going to be working in is MA, and we need to make a pretender real quick. Did we end up coming up with what we need to name this guy?
Uh no, but I'm thinking Big Brother is a fair name for what we're doing.
That's absolutely wonderful. Okay, okay. The other thing I talked to Lucid about this. And are there any events that would be very bad, or something that would be very bad from our scales?
I mean, if we have bogus land on us, that's not going to be fun for anybody.
Oh man, I think that the because it gives you a bunch of these omniscient monoliths which seem to be able to. I mean, 5,000 hit points should be able to take Bogus out.
Oh, and 50 defense skill. Yeah, there's nothing that can land on us that'll beat us.
So I think we're gonna be okay. I'm worried about getting Dom killed, but with 10 candles, 3 fortune, and then 3 magic, we should be fine. I think.
I
Okay.
think we're going to want a little bit of order. Oh wait, we only have 10 blast skills left. Never mind.
We can go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to go Cold Dominion because the when I made the map, I I didn't go through and make the colors for the summertime, so it looks like it's always winter. So
That's fine.
I shouldn't have said anything. I could have just done that sneakily, and we would have never known. Okay, and then what do we want? We want
Just
Arcane Command.
MR out the ass.
Our bless will be yeah, and then a little bit of MR. So like 9 arcane command and minor magic resist. Does that look good?
Yeah, it looks like we're playing MA Urk.
It's a solid bless. Yes, come here for all of your strategy needs. Okay. Oh crap, I forgot to password. Okay, so I'm gonna put the password on the let's see. What was I gonna do? I'm gonna put the password onto the channel. So if you want to come over to Lucid's channel and actually see, then you can log on and or you can get the turn files. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the turn files sent to me from Clockwork. I'm gonna put them into the channel, and then you can actually look on the channel, grab the turn file, and actually watch along with the game. Watch along with us if you want to. Wait, what? Oh, you killed my bless. Darn. Is that everything right? Just killed our bless. I'm not. No, completely killed everything. What? Ah.
Yeah,
Okay. To order. Hide my mistake. That looks good. And then just give us etherealness. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna do ethereal. Just okay. So you were saying that we got a lot of the Cancer Nation, right?
yeah, we hit some of the nations that mostly get banned in MA, like Ermor because people hate the 5% dom kill per pop kill per candle, and Scalaria because almost nothing outscales Scalaria.
Now the players that are playing, did you see their skill level? Is it high, middle, low? What are we looking at?
It varies. I would say there is no one that plays a better Ermor than Novell, but he sucks at every single other nation. Like he's only decent at Ermor.
Now,
And
because
then
I know that Lucid's actually playing he's actually playing a Airmore game now, isn't he?
yeah, he's Lucid's doing a blood venge build for Ermor so that it messes with every person who throws evos and a banishment spam at him.
Does that is that what Novell does? Does he usually do a Blood Vengeance?
Ever since I told him about Blood Vengeance 2 months ago, yes.
Okay, so what exactly does Blood Vengeance do? How does that work? Let me pull it up real quick. Create I'll actually just pull up an Airmore one because Blood Vengeance is really high blood. What does Blood Vengeance do?
It's, I believe, a 12 MR roll against any person that attacks a Sacred Blessed against it.
Why would you want this as Airmore with the sacreds that he's got?
You get Lictors, and Lictors have something like 40 HP. You slap Undead Regen on them, and any priest that does their like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 banishment attack on them kills the priest.
So normally what happens is when you're fighting against Airmore, you use, instead of using mages, you use priests, which are much cheaper and much easier to get. But when the priests hit the lictors, they kill themselves, right?
Yeah, so basically the way to counter that is to throw fire elementals and water elementals and things that will do the attacking for your mage and make sure your mage tires itself out. However, Novell usually backs that up by picking some elemental path that for resistances like fire shock, res, which makes it a lot harder.
Okay. So do you now with Airmore also has a pop kill element to it. Do you think that we'll probably be seeing a coalition early against them?
I haven't been in a game where Airmore doesn't get 3v1 in the first 20 turns. However, there are very few nations in this game that early on can deal with Blood Vengeance.
The one wrench is actually the next nation that is on the list. Do you think there'll be a coalition against Aramor when there's a Scalaria in the game?
See, that's the problem. I've never played with RCK79, so I don't know about him. Most of these players have played with Novell before and know Novell's brand of Aramor, so I think they're either going to leave him alone or try and deal with him early. Scalaria, if a Scalaria expands poorly, and I mean really poorly, then I think they could be left alone relatively safely. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to leave a Scalaria alone for a long period of time.
These are the two nations that I almost always want. These are two of the nations why I avoid MA. I try not to play MA very often because of Aramor and Scalaria. And what's interesting is, I mean, I'm not sure about you, dude, but I don't feel like Aramor is a strong nation.
It's not a nation that when you pick it, you have to play poorly and you can still win. Aramor is a nation that requires finesse due to the fact that your free spawn is lower quality than every other free spawn nation, and it's not frequent enough that you could just shove hordes and hordes of skeletons at them.
Yeah, the other thing is that you don't, like, I think that doesn't, like, Lemuria gets free mages, but Aramor does not, correct?
Aramor, I believe, doesn't get free mages, and I know for a fact Lemuria does. However, Lemuria's mages that they get aren't great, but they're at least ethereal ghosts.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one thing I've played around with them in single player, but I mean, single player is a little different than multiplayer. Single player has almost another set of rules. It's almost an entirely different game, and so, when I was playing single player with Aramor, it just, you roll over everybody because they get so much, free spawn and, your expansion's not as contested. And so, I was able to walk over people and I didn't need research. Whereas, when you're playing multiplayer, the research is more valuable.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see from Novell, instead of rushing Horde of Skeletons and Rigor Mortis like most Ermors do, I think we're gonna see him get the like fire resistant spells, and we might see a cheeky early mass flight attack against an Earth nation to prevent him from getting earthquaked, because flying skeletons are always fun to deal with.
Yeah, I think that I think I was talking to Lucid, and that's what he ended up going with, like some sort of like flying skeleton style. But that was later in the game, like turn 70. So by then you should probably have it anyways. But yeah, like mass army just flying up in the air. Oh no, it was his Scaleria game on his YouTube channel where he did the mass flight, and just the flight of the skeletons were just all over the place.
Yeah, Ermor can do that as well. The only path that Scaleria gets that Ermor doesn't, I believe, is water. And whereas Ermor picks up a fire path.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the Grand Thaumaturge, and the Grand Thaumaturges have the ability to communion up, and then have the ability to mass flight. Let's see. So how do you expand with Scaleria? What do you usually use in order to expand with it?
Well, it depends. You avoid the sacreds like a plague.
They look at this. They're ethereal 45 gold, units. They do 14 points of damage.
Yes, but every other indie province has at least one priest in there.
Oh, yeah.
You see those hit points? Those aren't double-digit hit points. No, those are one banish and you're gone.
Yeah. Blood Vengeance. Yes, Blood Vengeance.
Lictors, on the other hand, the alive lictors that Scaleria gets, are a fine unit. The problem is there are two things Scaleria wants: temples and forts, just to pump out cultists. I use the Velites, the unit right next to the gladiators, the spear and javelin dude, and just use them en masse, since it's the only unit besides gladiators and slingers that you can mass without going full scales.
Okay. Now, do you think Scaleria will end up going scales, or do you think they'll go? I mean, why would you need a bless on these guys? We've already gone over your sacred, stuff. Why would you want a bless
the
on these guys?
lictor beside him is also sacred.
Oh, I didn't even know they had lictors.
Scaleria got a recent buff about 5 months ago where they added alive lictors. You now no longer need to take an undead leadership class on Scaleria, because if you go to their lictor leader, see an 80 leadership for undead.
Wait, are you? Why did they get a? Why would you ever give Scaleria 80 undead leadership? They didn't need a.
It's cap only, so
no.
it's restricted to the cap, but you can pump 2 of those out a turn, and they're pretty cheap.
That's insane, dude. So to go over really quick, what makes Scaleria so powerful?
Well, there are 3 main things that make Scaleria scary. The fact that they can pump out unlimited free spawn for the cost of a palisade and a temple, which is not a lot of investment compared to other nations.
Where do they get the undead from? Sorry.
They're reanimator priests. So every Scalarian cultist, Thaumaturge, and Grand Thaumaturge can reanimate priests based on their holy level scaled up.
Wait, so the cultists can do it. Oh man, even the Thaumaturges can do it.
And the Grand one too.
Okay, so do you usually go with the cultists, the Thaumaturge? I mean, I'm sure you want the Grand Thaumaturges as much as you can, but they're cap only. Do you pick the Thaumaturges or the cultists?
Each cultist can reanimate, I believe, 3.5 long dead per turn.
So it's 1d6.
Thaumaturge can do 5, and each Grand Thaumaturge can do 7. And since cultists cost 1 rec point, and they're only 45 gold. You get
Holy
about
crap.
7 long dead per turn per fort as an exponential rate.
So every single turn, your forts are gaining 7 more, like almost like a velocity, where you're
Yeah.
gaining 7 more per turn. Yeah, so like the first turn is producing 7 skeletons, and 14, then 28, then 35. Wow, that's pretty big. Like, and the thing that gets me about this is not only are they cheap, not only are they 1 recruitment point, but they're also sacred. So I mean, they cost literally 1 gold per turn. So for a gold and a half per turn, you're getting, or sorry, 3 gold per turn, you're getting 7 more skeletons per turn. Your skeletons cost, what is it? 1/3 of a gold? That's insane. You said there's 3 things. So we've got the unlimited skeletons. What else?
They have the oh shit button in the gladiators. When you look at the Retarius and gladiators, what do you see? You see the ability to stop an elf rush.
These are honestly my favorite unit ever. I played EA Airmore my first game, and I did very, very well. It was really sad. It had a bunch of new players in it, and it had 1 really good player that just rolled over everybody else. But the only reason I was able to hold my own was because these guys are so incredibly powerful.
They are like
What's it?
They are like the Ichthyans, however, they are reasonably priced, decent armor, and they hit a whole lot harder.
I mean, 22 damage on an 11 attack. It's a pretty good length, so it's less likely to get repelled. They've got a net, so it can bring your defense down to 0. How do nets work? Do you know?
It's an attack roll like any other attack, and it cannot be repelled.
Okay.
However, if the net succeeds, every round the person in the net has to pass a strength test to bust out. I think size 6 giants are immune to nets, and I think you have to roll incredibly well to get a size 5 in there if they're not immune. But they are amazing at killing giants and elves. The flail guys hit twice per round, and they do enough damage that they punch through almost any armor in MA, with the exception of Ulm.
Yeah, MA Ulm has what is their armor?
19 or 20. Okay. It might be 18. It's stupidly high, and they all have shield, and all the troops you'll have mostly have shields.
Hold on just a second, dude. My sound is going up. Okay, I'm back. I thought you were breaking up, and it ended up being my speaker, so that's good.
Yeah. Most MA Ulm is basically the only the few nations that can sit there and tank 2 flail hits per turn.
Let's actually go into that, because that's the next nation that's on the list, right? Yeah, there we go. We got Aramor, Scalera, and Ulm. So we saw those gladiators. One of them did 20-ish damage, like 20 or 22 piercing, and the other did 8
damage, which becomes 24.
So the regular ones have 19, so they can take the flail hits relatively well. But the 22 piercing will go right through it, drop, what is it, a quarter of the armor?
I believe it's 10%. A quarter, I believe, is crossbows.
Okay, and so it's still, you're still not going to kill one of these guys, but you're still going to be able to actually deal damage to them, which is amazing because these guys are, defensive bosses. But, what's that, sorry?
I expect we see from Ulm, he's going to probably go full scales and either take a small resist bless and some MR on his mages, or no bless at all.
Yeah, these guys are something else. These black plate infantry are just disgusting. 23 protection. I love a unit that does 22 damage and yet still can't hurt itself.
Yeah. That's not actually the best black plate infantry. It's the black plate infantry with the 2-handed flail.
These guys right here, right?
Yeah.
When I play it with these guys, I either go for these ones. I think it's these ones. Yeah. I either go for these guys or for these guys. And the reason why I take these is that if you're fighting somebody with high protection, you need a little bit higher damage. Okay. Sorry, we just got the last person to join in on the game, so we will actually be starting the game here about, well, as soon as this is over, we'll probably get things started. But yeah, I did this guy because they've got a little bit more damage. But these guys, what makes these guys special?
There are 2 attacks per unit, which means there's 6 attacks per square.
Okay, so jeez. It's like having like Hobergs, only not Hobergs.
or Van Heers with protection.
Oh geez. So if you're going against an elf, it's 6 attacks that are coming against the what's it called? Mirror imaged guys.
Yep, and the best part is flails of all varieties get a +2 attack bonus against shields. So it's in reality a 13 attack twice per unit against a shielded elf.
Yeah. So this is what you're scared of, these guys actually hitting you as an elf.
Yes, because every elf, now that we're out of EA, has a shield.
This is actually this is my nation. This is the nation that I started playing Dominions with. This is the one that I've won the most with. This is the one that I'm most comfortable with. By far my favorite. And what's funny is I didn't even know that about elves. Although I'll be honest, elves are not usually taken in MA. From what in the games that I've played, there's just
maybe just Yiss and Vanheim are taken. Yiss because it's an underwater elf, and Vanheim because Vanheim is always strong in each version of itself.
It's funny, I don't call Yiss elves. I mean, they might be. I don't look into the lore. I mean, I think that technically even Man has a little bit of elvish in them, if I remember their background. But like they're not. I don't think you're an elf unless you're glamour.
The Mulvark champions and Mulvark knights are glamored.
Are they really?
They're glamored elves on a fire-breathing horse with native magic weapons.
They're so flippin'. I did an expand for them, where I was testing an expand, and by turn 12, I had a scroll bar on my province list. That's how many provinces I got in 12 turns. It needed a scroll bar in order for me to be able to see them all. It was disgusting.
That's what expanding with Sacred Cav is. Now, Alm, on the other hand, because of the high resource cost of every single troop, if they have one bad expansion, they expand like ass.
With Alm, what I usually do is I do the Black Knight expansions, and it's kind of okay. You get an expansion party a turn once you start really rolling. And because of, I think they get 3, it's been a while since I played as Alm, I thought they get 3 points, 3 commander points at their base.
They have one of the few starting citadels in MA.
Yeah, and so what you do is you get these Master Smiths or these Priest Smiths. You normally go for a Master Smith, and you're getting 10 resources per turn. That keeps on adding up. And so if you go for the Black Knight, after about, it takes about 7 turns, you're getting a full Black Knight, plus you're getting the territory around you, and as long as you start with, a mountain or a forest in your starting cap circle, you can normally pump out 4 of these guys, 1 of these guys, and a mage a turn, and do 1 expansion party a turn. So if you lose an expansion party, I mean, nobody wants to lose an expansion party, but it's not that big of a deal to me. But if you're expanding with these guys, yeah, you can get screwed over pretty badly.
Alm has the benefit that they've got the second best heavy cavalry unit in the age. It's only beaten by Marignon's paladins, and that's because Marignon can bless those paladins. But nothing beats a 15 HP, 23 prot with an above 12 defense skill and 3 attacks.
Yeah, and it's all those skills are more than likely gonna attack. You get a +3 to your roll compared to the average infantry, so it's just gonna kill anything.
Yeah.
Now, with the 3 attacks, do they all attack the same target, or do they attack 3 separate targets?
Okay. So I believe they can all hit different targets, and I believe it goes down in a list. Like the lance charge will hit first because it's the longest weapon, and then the Morning Star, and then the hoof. I believe,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
Okay. And let's talk about real quick Alm's bread and butter, the priestess. What makes the priestess so important?
Well, you can't talk about Priestmas without talking about Alm's national spell, Iron Darts and Iron Blizzard.
Okay, let me look that up. Oops. I gotta get to the next screen to do that. And that's in evocation. Do we have like a national only? I thought there was a national only button I could push.
That's in the mod expector. You've gone way. Iron Darts is like an Evo 3 spell.
Oh yeah, I'm doing the Iron Blizzard, but we could do Iron Darts instead. They were just talking about this in the channel.
So it's a ridiculously low fatigue cost. It is armor piercing, and when you're fighting magical beings, it does double damage.
Oh jeez, I didn't even see the magical being. I don't fight magical beings very often. That's absurd. And the other thing that they were just doing testing was they were doing testing and they found out that Iron Darts ignore shields.
Well, I don't think it ignores shields, more the fact that because it's armor piercing, it halves prot, and then because it's got it's a piercing attack, there's another 20% proc on, and it's doing 13 damage, which is already a lot. And they were testing with Iron Blizzard, which when you go to that, I believe it's 30 plus projectiles per mage per cast.
Sorry, give me just a second. Sorry, Lucid's trying to get us a voice channel so we can do this in a voice channel. Or so sorry, say it again.
I said, if I recall correctly, and it's been a while since I played Home, I don't believe it actually ignores shields. I just believe there's enough piercing damage and then protection negating abilities of the Iron Darts themselves that they don't really care about the added prot of the shields. But in testing, they were doing Iron Blizzard, which has like I believe 30 plus effects.
Yeah, 30 effects. It's like 30 crossbow bolts. Only that they're magic damage. And then they do twice as much damage versus magic beams. So,
I think they also have a stupid high scale. Yeah, so every level that you increase it, it increases the number of effects by 5. So the way you do Iron Blizzard is you get your astral randoms, communion that shit up, and you just send like an E10, which sends 75
80? Oh yeah, you're right.
75
Yeah, 75.
projectiles per cast per mage, and you just burn through your communion slaves, obliterating anything in front of you.
Jeez, that is absurd. Now the other thing is that all of these guys are E2, so they're able to get summon Earth Power immediately. So that's already, they start at E2, you bring yourself up to E3, and so they're already doing 40 per cast, even without a communion or anything like that.
Yeah, which it makes all strong. And when you can combine that fact with the 120 free bless points they get, because turns out they don't care about drain. You're turning an already strong nation into something that if the enemy is not prepared, it will just obliterate anything in front of them.
Yeah, we just attacked an Ulm, and I forgot about the whole drain thing. And our our MR went from like 16 or like 15 or 16 all the way to 12 or 13, and we just got. I mean, it was like Luckily, they didn't have Soul Slay, but they had Paralyzed, and you just see one of my Sacreds get paralyzed, and the next one gets paralyzed, and they just paralyzed my entire Sacred line. Luckily, we had a quantity which, made up for the quality. But, I mean, just, it kills your MR.
Yeah. So that is one of Alm's two great weaknesses. The fact that they have low MR across the board. Like 14 MR on a mage is not awful. But when you only have 9 MR on a heavy cav, that is unacceptable for the price. The point is, if you run into an Astral Nation without having a way to raise your MR in battle, you are basically handing them the win.
Oh crap, I actually got it mixed up. It's in Drain, your MR gets higher.
Yeah, that's
I'm
why
going to
I'll
look at
always
that
take
fight again.
Drain 3.
That's really weird, because the fight we just had was literally on Alm's cap. Maybe he took magic pads on Alm. If he did, I'm gonna laugh.
On Alm, it sends your MR on your troops across the board to 6, but you can do it.
It's just like pew pew. So these guys, they don't get affected by the drain scale. So their 11 research will not go down to 8 if they're in drain 3. If they're in magic 3, do they gain that research?
Yes. It says it's not affected by drain skills, but it is still effective by magic skills.
Okay, so it's not hindered by drain scales, but it can be boosted by magic scales.
Yeah.
So maybe the goal was to try to boost his research, and it was LA, so it's a little bit different. And they have Astral, so you can actually use it against. Now, you were saying that they would drop their MR down to 6, and their MR is 9 already. So I guess we can kind of go into what is the weakness of Alm.
Alm's two weaknesses are as follows. Their troops cannot deal with MR resist spells at all.
Okay, what are some common MR resist spells?
So the things that kill an Almish army are Charm, Mind Burn, Soul Slay, and if you're fighting an Astral Nation late game as Alm, which if you're to that point already, it's gonna suck. One cast a Master Enslave only has to roll 1 higher than your DNR dice to steal your troops.
So you get a +1 roll, and so you're rolling for every one of your troops, and anytime he rolls higher than you by 1, he steals your guy. Or equal to your...
Or equal to,
then he steals your guy. And so like you make 100 rolls, and you're likely to lose, what, like 50% of your guys?
It's slightly less than that. I think it's closer to 40%, but yeah, you can lose half your army like that.
Now, one nice thing is, if I can find it, they have Tempering of the Will, which is an Earth Pass. Because normally if you want to get yourself, where is it? Enchantment. Anti-Magic requires S3, which is kind of hard to get as Alm, and you can't get it off quickly as Alm, because they've only got the S1 access. Now you can... What's it?
They can do it with 3 mages. They need to get 3 astral randoms and then power of spheres, and then they can technically cast it.
You can do it with an S1. What you do is you do power of the spheres and then two astral pearls, because that'll bring them to S2, and then the astral pearl will get it. But the problem is that S1 you go power of the spheres and you go to sleep immediately. So
yeah.
You can do it with an S1. I would not suggest it. But like the common way I did it when I play as Alm is I get an S2, or I get an S1 mage. I put a, the crystal coin. That brings him up to S2, and then you can do 2 pearls will give him anti-magic.
Yep.
But
brought up the crystal coin bit,
Mouse. Yeah.
Because that's another thing Alm has that most nations don't. They have what is called a forge bonus. they are able to forge goods for cheaper and more efficiently than any other nation of the age.
And we also, not only do they have the forge bonus, which makes it cheaper, so you can get, like, it minuses in the very bottom of my screen, you can see forge bonus 2. So you can get a hammer that minuses 2 gems, and then this minuses 2 gems. So if you want to make, like, let's say, like, a lightless lantern, which is a 5 fire, it would cost you 1 fire, right?
Yeah, it costs you 1 gem.
And it literally just pumps, if you got 50 fire and you got 50 of these guys, the turn you get it, you can literally pump out 50 lightless lanterns. Which is something, what's this?
I was about to say, which is exactly what Ulm does. As soon as Ulm reaches Construction 6, they make every single one of their fire master smiths that aren't in combat make 1 lightless lantern.
And that's 500 research points right there.
At
That's
least.
absurd. They literally double, because they're getting 11 research and a lightless lantern is 12, so it's actually like getting, every one of these guys doubles themselves in 1 turn. That's wild.
Yeah. So besides their low MR, the only other weakness of Ulm is they don't deal the best with a super combatant. Like late game, the game basically devolves on who can send the best super combatant to raid while you try and force armies to take forted thrones. Ulm's only real option is the Iron Angel, which is a pain to summon as Ulm. It's their national spell.
I was looking at, I've never gotten, normally when you win as Ulm, you win before turn 50 or 60, or you don't win. That's what I've found as Ulm. You win early or you don't win.
So
Yeah,
the
like,
Iron Angel is an anti-holy unit super combatant. They have, I believe, Bane of Heresy 9, which allows them to deal very effectively with thugs that Ashdod or Pan, if Pan's sending a bunch of those Centaur
Centroid,
Hierophants at you.
or yeah, the hero type. God, it's wild. Sorry, my allergies. And then the other thing about them is that they can random into 4 different paths.
Yeah, they get a nice spread between the elemental pass minus water, and they have just enough astral that it will make a couple astral nations think twice about mass mine hunting and all.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. So it actually protects you against mine hunts too. Now the air guy, kind of an interesting one, is that there's a lot of people that take a bless on Ulm for the bows of war, and also there's some that take it for because when you attack with the Iron Blizzard and kill something, I think there's actually, like, you can do the reanimator or something like that. Have you heard about this? If you take reanimators, any living enemy killed by a blessed unit, which would be your Iron Blizzard guy, has a chance to rise as a soulless.
Yes, I have heard of it. I've never seen it. It can happen. I think it's a very niche play that with the undead heavy nations in the game, we won't see.
Yeah.
But when you stack precision on Iron Blizzard, it turns more from a shotgun blast, which it is and spreads out, to a focused fire where multiple projectiles will hit very few targets in a small cluster, basically turning it into an ability that will kill giants.
Oh, jeez. Now this, I don't think that Withering Weapons works on Iron Blizzard.
Weapon blesses
Yeah, this is actually on
does
a
not
weapon
work
and not.
on spells.
Okay.
So if you were going to do, and I don't know why you would do this, but you could do a bow warrior monk build on Ulm, where you strap bows of war onto your little holy ones, have them bless themselves, and then they would shoot death weapons, withering weapons, shock weapon, flaming weapons, cold weapons, all the weapon types at your enemies. I don't know why you would do it, but you can do it on Ulm. It's
I could
crazy
see.
expensive.
We need to give this to Grippa and let him have a try at it. That seems like a mem bless to me, correct?
Oh yeah, it is a meme bless.
Now, one thing that's really interesting about the Bows of War, because we talked about it, is that you can get them. They're five air gems each, right?
I think so. It's been a while since I've made one.
And that brings them down to 1 air gem, and then we can put, because you've got your fire randoms, which brings you up to fire 2, and that's enough to cast flaming arrows, right? Do you know this offhand? Oh yeah.
You can cast flaming arrows with a fire 2. You boost it up to fire 3 using Phoenix power, and then you use 2 gems.
Okay, there we go. So yeah. Okay, so we've kind of I can go all day on Ulm. Let's push on to who's the next nation in the list? Marignan. Yeah, this is where my knowledge drops off considerably. I do not know Marignan very much because I've never seen them played well.
I can explain Marignan in a very few words: fire magic, air magic, astral magic.
Oh my goodness, they get 4 bonus bless points.
Yeah, so you will see you can see an awake Marignan with ethereal paladins with semi-decent scales, and it is just a pain to deal with.
So, oh my god, you can take attack for ethereal and only
have 2 extra bonus points in fire that you haven't used yet.
Oh my goodness, that's absurd. You can actually go attack 2 ethereal and be positive design points.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, how much would it be that's a little bit expensive to get the full rainbow, but still.
But you don't need the full rainbow because your paladins are recruit any fort. They're not cap only.
Are they recruit anywhere? Holy crap. I thought it was just the little flail dudes.
No. Every Marignan Sacred can be made in any fort if it's a unit.
Like, my favorite thing to do with them when I was playing against the AI is I went Death Explosion. Because that was really fun. Like, it's only against, you can only do it with the AI, but, I mean, with attack, if you do double attack and ethereal, you have to take 3, so that would actually put you negative, but oh well.
Then you just run Misfortune, or you take it dormant, because Marignan, M.A. Marignan can expand incredibly well for a human nation with just attack buffs on those paladins.
Oh man, he's got a good-looking bard too. Do the seduction.
However, the bard can only seduce female leaders, which against Pam, there's no greater sensation than stealing a couple dryads and using the dryads against him.
That would be amazing. But you've also got these, the Flagellants, which has a flail, which attack twice. You bring that attack up to 13, and 2 16-point hits at 13 attack is, I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world. The downside is there's 0 protection.
That's not the only downside. When you read the lore, because Illwinter loves to hide little juicy tidbits in the lore, about 50% of them come with an affliction.
Oh, jeez. I mean, but at the same time, a 10 gold sacred unit is, I mean, there are worse things. And if they're ethereal, that means, what is it, like 3/4 of the hits just straight up miss?
Unless they're magic weapons, that's correct.
Jeez, so you could, I mean, like, the double attack ethereal is really good on the knights, but you could easily shit to Flagellants if your opponent doesn't have magic weapons. These things are gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, what's it?
That is why Marignon's Knights of the Chalice are the best heavy cav in MA. But if we want to bring up to Marignon's strengths, you see it's got a recruitable Holy 3. It's got it's a High Inquisitor, so that when it's preaching against enemy dominion, it's a Holy 6.
Jeez.
It's got a huge mage for the age. I believe it's a 5-path that can be up to a 6-path mage.
Oh my goodness, you're right. Because it can go into...
It can be up to a 7th path.
Oh my goodness.
And they have a really cheap mage as the initiate.
This is amazing to me, dude. Like, this right here makes them amazing. 45 gold for 7 research.
Okay, but the part that makes it amazing also makes it its biggest weakness. Marignon, if their troops are being countered, has 2 strategies. Throw fire spells at it, which, if you're up against a pan or an elf team, or some Ashdod giants, they all have fire resistance. Or attempt to do something with astral magic on really old units.
Which I'm guessing the old, where's the old, right? The old adds encumbrance, so you're not getting it. You're not getting off as many casts, is what you're saying, correct?
Yeah, and because they're so old, I believe almost 50% of them will gain an affliction in the first year of their existence when it hits winter.
What do you aim for first for spells?
It all depends what you're up against. If you're up against somebody who forgot to get fire res, getting flaming arrows and using your cheap crossbows to just rain flaming crossbow bolts at somebody is very fun.
That's
if you're
enchantment.
Up against somebody fire res, you try and lean into the astral bit. Maybe get some mind burns and some soul slays to try and get through that. Other than that, rushing con 5 to get fire elementals is never a bad idea.
Okay, so you can go Thaumaturgy too. And then one thing you didn't hit on that I just realized is that, you touched on was that they've got pretty low resource recruitment cost crossbows, which is really nice. Like, crossbows are pretty freaking amazing. So they got armor piercing. What happened? I thought that so this halves the armor that the other guy has. So you're gonna be doing 11 piercing damage to half armor, correct?
Plus, you're forgetting the 20% bonus from the fact that the attack is a piercing attack as well.
You're correct, yes. So it gets rid of the majority of their armor, and then you get 11 plus a DRN.
Yeah.
Or opposing DRN.
And because if you get really lucky, if you look at your your last mage, you see that it has the tiniest a bit of earth. You can Strength of Giants to get 1 more damage on those crossbows.
Every little bit counts. And they've also, if you get earth, you can start getting some of the crystal gear. So you could set up like an ad hoc, actually not just, these guys, these guys, you can put these guys into a communion. I mean, it's not it's not the cheapest communion, but it's still a communion and gets your earth paths up higher.
It's an expensive communion. It's something that can work. However, Marignon can make it work better than most nations because, like Ulm, it has the ability to get a citadel.
Okay.
It has a Mason right between the Holy 3 and the Fire 2 Astral 1 guy.
Where's, there he is right there. Oh, an Arcus, yeah. Oh man, and that's funny, what's neat about these guys, okay, so they can only be recruited at the capital, but you do 2 turns of these, you get a little bit of siege bonus too, so you'd have some guys that you can upgrade forts, and when they're not upgrading forts, they can sit on forts and kind of help you out a little bit too. If these guys were not cap only, it'd be really nice. Like, just instead of making troops, just have like an army of these guys going around and taking forts.
Yeah, so we'll transition back into the couple of troops that we didn't talk about. Marignon has 4 flavors of foot infantry: the swordmen or Zweihander, the pikemen, the halberdier, and the men at arms. The
Jeez.
pikemen is not worth making due to the change of pikes from Dominions 4 to Dominions 5.
What was the change? I'm sorry.
You only get 1 repel per square. In Dominions 4, you got 1 repel per unit per square. So in theory, you could repel with 3 of pikemen in a square with their length 5 pikes. You could repel basically anything in a pike wall.
Yeah, I remember when I first joined, the main strategy I was actually playing is Ulm, and everybody was saying you need to get the pikemen, you need to get the pikemen, and that had changed over time. And I'm assuming the reason why the original suggestion was to get that was because I guess maybe I was reading Dom 4 guides, or maybe people didn't realize it had changed, or something to that extent.
Yeah, it changed because Dom 4's meta was basically Rain of Stones and pikemen alongside your sacreds and crossbows. Now, because battles happen simultaneously at the same time, it has changed and progressed. And as long as Illwinter makes little tweaks, units like pikemen with their low attack, long weapons won't be great.
I heard rumors that they're actually trying to like move on to Dom 6 at this point too. It'd be nice if that changed back. I don't like that there aren't pike walls in Dom 5. In that repel, instead of being some sort of pike wall, repels are now mostly like it's more of a finesse. Where you're
it's
not,
go ahead, man.
Oh yeah, like to me it's not a repel, it's a parry.
Yeah, it's a hope and pray that you get 1 and you don't get slaughtered by, let's say, an elf on a horse, because this is where elves on horses exist.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if you move over to the man at arms, you'll see it's the only foot soldier that has a shield, and it has the bodyguard 2 ability, which means it is, I forget what the exact value of bodyguard does, but it means basically they will be a certain percent better than normal units at protecting mages from assassins.
Now, is there a lot of MA? I mean, especially in our game, I don't think that there's a lot of assassins, but in MA in general, are there a lot of assassins?
Well, you basically every nation can get assassins through random events. Certain nations can get them through their national troops, like Scalaria and Marignon both have recruitable assassins. If there's a blood nation, you can make a scout an assassin with a blood item. It's something that can be done. It's just not cheap, but it's something always to worry about.
To me, this is just the bodyguard trait feels like it's just increasing the gold cost more than anything else. It doesn't seem, this unit doesn't seem like it's worth it.
But keep in mind, it's the only thing with a shield on your nation that isn't a dude on a horse.
What's funny is that it's almost it seems almost bad because the crossbowmen, like there's a bit of friendly fire because of the way that accuracy works. And if your crossbowmen hit one of your own troops, that's a bad day. It's a really bad day.
But if you look at your Orange Knight, you'll see that it is 21 protection, 16 defense, also has the bodyguard trait, and has 3 attacks.
Okay.
Now, its strength is lower than the Knight of the Chalice, and it can't be blessed. But if you're playing Marignon without a bless, the Royal Guards at 10 gold cheaper
Okay.
have higher protection and hit almost as hard.
It feels really weird that you're given, here's four free bless points. No thanks, I'm good. It doesn't seem like a good idea to me.
Remember, Elk, Dardanos, we are playing with people who sometimes don't make the smartest decisions when it comes to the game.
I was playing a Marignon and we moved on land as relay, and we had literally one province on land, and Marignon's cap was on the coast, and he immediately attacks us. Instead of, hey, you can take that one, but if you take any more, you don't. And I mean, like, immediately, we went to war with them, and, I mean, it's, some players, because that's one of my times with Marignon. I've never played a good Marignon. I had another time where they went to war with us and I was playing as Ulm, and let me just tell you, Ulm was a pretty good counter to these guys as far as what I saw. I mean, I guess you could do like you can get these guys to do like Mind Blast, but a lot of them are only Astral ones. So yeah, you just get some real questionable decisions.
Yeah, but other than that, Marignon has a anti-undead capital site. If you look at their sites, one of them.
Oh, there's that one right there.
So
That'll be huge.
Killed undead 50 means I believe there's a 50% chance per undead unit to get hit with a 10 MR negating MR attack.
Yeah.
Which against Long Dead is just an instant vaporization. And against Ermor's Knights of the Sepulchre, those really rare sacred holy cap with 5 HP, it can just straight up kill them.
Jeez. It would be entertaining if this had an HP and the Blood Vengeance brought it down.
Yeah, enough Blood Vengeance blow up your cap site, which gives you almost all your gems.
It turns from the House of Fiery Justice to the Fiery House of Fiery Justice with fire in the background.
Yeah. So that's not the end of Marignon's anti-undead skills. They also have some national spells that are anti-undead specific, if I recall correctly.
Man, I wish I could.
I believe they're fire spells.
Okay, there we go. We got Holy Fire. Do AoE attacks count towards Blood Vengeance?
Every attack counts towards Blood Vengeance.
Really? That's rough. It is times 3 versus undead. Holy crap.
It almost deals enough damage to get a lictor to 50% HP.
Dang. And they have the ability to cast anti-magic so they can protect themselves against Blood Vengeance.
Yeah, and you see it scales reasonably well when fighting against undead. Every +1 fire, it says only 1, but when you fight undead or demons, it does triple damage. So reality, every extra fire path is 3 more damage.
That's not bad, and you can almost get to fire 3 is almost guaranteed with all these guys because of Phoenix power.
It is one of the few spells your Fire 1 initiates can cast.
Jeez. That's really awesome.
And then we can talk about late game Marignon in the form of its summons, the angels.
Oh, do they get the Astral Angels? Oh man, they get the Harbingers in the Angelic Host and stuff.
They get every single angel.
Oh my goodness. That is awesome. I hope that we get to see this. I really do, because I played with these guys before, but again, it's only in I only got to play them in single player. I played against them a couple times, but it wasn't a bad player. It just that we didn't get to see a whole lot of them, and by then I think I got to play about 10 turns against them, so I didn't get to see them well used. So I hope we do get to see them. Who's playing as Marignan?
Let me.
While we're doing that, I'm gonna move us on to the next, because we're almost at it. We are at an hour at this point, so. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then
We've got Grandpa, which he's a decent player. He makes stupid first war decisions all the time. But if he wins that first war, which against me, he's hit and miss, he can do very well. So what's the next nation after Marignan?
Do you remember our Disciples game, by the way? The one where you're playing as Vanheim? He made an army of 200 Hoburg militia. I think he joined that game when we were just like when he had just started. So it's been a couple months, so he's learned how to play since then. But like we were sitting there going like, okay, what can you do with 200 Hoburg militia? You can suicide them and feast at crows, get some death gems out of them. But I think that this might be a good stopping point, and then just do the next 4 nations next, and maybe make it a shorter video. Would that work?
Yeah, that totally works.
Okay, well then, guys, I'll see you in the next one. We're gonna try to get this game up started soon, and then the next video, we might actually put it. What I might do is I might get us into the chat channel and maybe get some people so that they can listen in and maybe give their 2 cents on it as well. So, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.